Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to go the mono black route and talk about Mr. Cao Cao. I believe that's how I've always heard it pronounced. Anyway, he is from Portal 3 Kingdoms. We got him in from the Vault Legends, the from the Vault where there were no cards from the Legends expansion. Anyway, it's mono black, so it's the Jet Medallion. I do have it's a very, very strong discard theme. It will not play nice with others. I'm telling you, it's just gonna. But I had to play to his theme. First couple cards I want to go through are we're obviously playing mono black, so we're just gonna peel through these. I'm playing mono black cards first. Y'all have seen these before. The Corrupt and the Tendrils of Corruption. Both really good solid cards if you're playing mono black. Crowd of Cinders. It looks like I have quite a few black enchantments here, black creatures, so that seems. Well, this just gets a ridiculously large dude. Force March. Now, I love me some Force March. It is a late game, our format. I mean, we've got a lot of mana. This is a sick rip a lot of times, and it can bail you out. It can also it can wipe the board, or you spend 3 mana just to kill all tokens. So that's a thing too. The Tutor, the Mutilate, and the Nightmare, of course. Now, other staples, the Terror, Doomblade, and Echoing Decay. Echoing Decay I have in there, like I said, 4 tokens. It kills a good chunk of tokens, and it kills them all. So, we'll go through some of our artifacts now. The Scepter of Fuge. I really love the naming schematic here. Subterfuge is kind of the play. I really wish we'd have gotten to Bear Supply, but anyway. Now, once we've got them with no hand and they're in top deck mode, we've got to find a way to win. Guess Grimoire, every time they discard, we're going to draw. The Rack, Rackling, Wheel of Torture. I'm just tipping stuff. Skull Cage and Pauper's Cage are all permanent ways to damage when they have little or no cards. Now, I am running the Turmoil's Crypt because you've got some decks that just it doesn't matter if you make them discard. The graveyard is just an extension of their hand. Now, we have a lot of sorcery spells here. Siphon Soul is the best probably in this format. You are just doing damage and gaining life. Also, from the Siphon Soul was originally in Legends, and they brought it back, and then when they brought it back, they also gave us Siphon Mind, which kind of fits the deck. Mind Shatter and Hymn to Turok. Hymn to Turok, I do believe, is the greatest discard spell to ever exist in this game. Kozilek's Return, Thoughtseize is a pretty good, but Hymn to Turok on turn 2, Hell Dark Ritual or a Mox back in the day, you could do it on turn 1, and it's so good. It's random. They don't get to choose. Mind Rot. Yes, I know Mind Rot's not an exceptional card, and Mind Rot will be replaced with Mind Twist once I get me another one, but all my Mind Twists are currently in use. I almost picked up an Invocation Mind Twist today, but that was just a little much for me. Smallpox helps with creatures and cards in hand, so that's doing some double work there. Monomania, they get to pick a card and ditch the rest. Delirium Schemes affects everybody at the table. Now, Delirium Schemes is everybody at the table is discarding 3 cards. Once we get to our enchantments, you'll see that this is probably the #1 card right here. I mean, it can get you some value. Wit's End, just force somebody to discard their hand. Persecute, for those monocolor players, like evidently we are. Tyrant's Choice and Bite of the Black Rose are voting cards. Now, Rise from the Grave is in there because it's a graveyard. It's any graveyard. So that's a real thing. Oh, come on, I had it. So, obviously, they're going to be discarding a lot of cards, probably going to be a lot of creatures, and Rise from the Grave, you can just make them yours. Death Cloud loses life, discards X cards, sacrifices X dudes, and then sacks X lands. This is a beaten and a half. I mean it. They discard the. I mean, it's each player, so you can pretty well control how this goes down for you. But I mean, Death Cloud is absolutely the correct name for this card. Then, of course, we have Raven's Crime. It's good early. It's exceptional late because there comes a point in time where you just don't want to draw any more swamps. And at that point, every swamp you draw is another discard and another discard trigger. 4, we can't even begin the deck without a Waste Not. Waste Not, player design card. Actually, the group players, all of us designed this card. They had it up to when M15. You voted on whether you wanted to check. Every aspect of this card was voted on. Mana cost, what it did, the 3 abilities, the color, the type, everything was voted on. And this is what we as a collective Magic community came up with. Wow. It's really good, especially in this particular style deck. Underworld Dreams, it's easy to cast. It does help out, because they're taking damage drawing and they're taking damage discarding. I'll say they're taking damage discarding because we've got Migrum and Liliana's Caress in there. They essentially both do the same thing. To the discard, they lose 2. Shrinking Affliction is kind of a rackish type card. Quest for the Nilstone. It should be fairly easy to get this Joker loaded with your quest counters, and then it becomes a 5 damage rack, so that's kind of sweet. Larceny makes turns all your creatures into specters, essentially. Putrefaction. Yeah, it does hate only on white and green spells, but those are 2 colors that, I mean, that represents 40% of the color in this game. So, and actually, as heavy as EDH leans toward multicolor, maybe more than that. Bottomless Pit just makes sure there's always going to be a discard trigger. Every player's upkeep, they're going to discard a card at random. That's beautiful. Words of Waste. Instead, discard. Hey, no problem. Gibbering Descent. Now let's get into some creatures. Now, I'm running the Royal Assassin and the Sorceress Queen because they're good. Yeah, I love those 2 cards. I know y'all have seen them in a couple other decks, but the Specters, like I said, the Specters, this particular Spectre hits 2 cards. Liliana's hits 1. The Hippie itself hits 1 at random, and Abyssal hits 1. Now, let's go way back here. The Mind Stab Thrall. 3 mana. It does take a combat damage, so you're going to spend 3 mana to play this 2/2. It's going to sit out there, and then the next turn, if you can get it through, it's potentially a 3-drop discard. So, Rotting Rats. You're going to get them for 1 card, probably going to get them for 2. Liliana's Reaver, Cunning Lethomancer. Now, Mind Slicer. Mind Slicer is, he's the card nobody wants to kill. Everybody discards their hand. You're going to have that one guy who's like, well, I ain't got a hand. I'll kill it and just screw the table. And that's fine. That's what you want to happen. The Banshee. Now, I love this. 5 mana 4/4 is with Myriad. And then we get this cool Spectre ability. So that's really, really neat. Sangromancer, because I want to gain 3 life every time somebody discards a card. And Yixlid Jailer. Because there are some decks like the Get Rock Monster that operates with a lot of dredge cards and you dread return. Anyway, a lot of cards work. All those souls of Zendikar and what have you. All those cards that do something in the graveyard, now they don't. That's the whole reason why Yixlid Jailer's in there. Now, I have a last card, and it's very, very special to me. Eater of the Dead. First, I'll tell you why Eater of the Dead is special. I believe this is the very first Magic card I ever actually owned. I learned how to play with a guy that I worked with. We played quite a bit. I was a baseball card junkie, so he knew I was into cards. And we'd played for quite some time. He taught me how to play, and I would play his decks. And finally, this new set came out, The Dark. And I bought a pack. It was the first pack I ever bought. I'd been playing for a long time before then, but I just hadn't, financially invested in the game. And I bought a pack, opened it up, and this card was staring at me. Eater of the Dead. And to be honest with you, I read it and thought it just absolutely sucked. And it is not a powerful card. It is not. But it does have its uses. And here, in this deck, it's amazing. Now, unless I'm mistaken, y'all, please correct me if I'm wrong. This 0 ability, you can do any number of times, if I'm not mistaken, because 0, exile a creature, untap it. The untapping him is not a part of the cost. So, you can keep their graveyard non-existent. It untaps, here, I just looked up the ruling here on the Gatherer. As of 2004, it untaps during the resolution of its ability. 2007, you can activate the ability whether or not it's tapped. However, if it is untapped when the ability resolves, the ability won't do anything. 2008, a creature card is any card with the type creature, even if it has other types. Older cards are summoned. So wait a minute, 2007, you can activate the ability whether or not Eater is tapped. However, if Eater of the Dead is untapped when the ability resolves, the ability won't do anything. So, let's see, 0, exile a dude, untap my guy, in response do this 5 more times or however, and then no, because by the time they resolve is good. Okay, so you can't infinitely do that. I guess that's why they ruled that way 10 years ago. But I don't know. It's kind of a corner case. It would have made this card a little better. Actually, it would have made it potentially broken. You could just 5 mana have a 3/4 guy that just exiles everybody's graveyards perpetually. Yeah, that may be a little too powerful, now that I think about it. But anyway, it is a good card to get rid of, spotty creatures or spotty things here and there. And the fact that, hey, it's Eater of the Dead. Where else you going to play this guy? Anyway, that's what I've got for today. I do appreciate y'all watching. But right now, I got to go to bed. It's time to shuffle and cut.